In 2019, Garrett Cole was on top of the world. He was just coming off of an incredible season with the Houston Astros, and it all led to him becoming the richest pitcher in baseball history, signing a 9-year, $324 million contract with the New York Yankees. Look at that smile. I mean, what couldn't you be smiling about if you were Garrett Cole? You got the talent, you got the money, and you are now part of the New York Yankees organization, an organization he claims to have grown up a fan of. Now, all of this is what the fans knew. All of this was on the surface. What we didn't know was that Garrett Cole had a dirty little secret, one that we would eventually find out. But until then, the Yankees had arguably the greatest starting pitcher in baseball on their team, alongside arguably the greatest closer in baseball. I mean, how could it get any better than that? Aroldis Chapman started out his major league career with the Cincinnati Reds, and starting in 2012, Chapman became the best relief pitcher in baseball. From 2012 through 2016, Chapman pitched to a sub-2 ERA 3 times, and as far as the other 2 seasons went, they were still great and lower than 3 by a good margin. Altogether in those 5 years, he threw over 300 innings with a 1.84 ERA, striking out 546 hitters. That's an average of about 15 to 16 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's insane, but that's who he was. That's who Aroldis Chapman was, the best reliever in the sport. He was that deadly. Chapman spent the first half of the 2016 season in New York after being traded to the Yankees in the offseason leading up to 2016, and was then flipped to the Chicago Cubs at the trade deadline, going on to win the World Series with them. It ended up working out for the Yankees because they were able to get future young talent from the Cubs in exchange for Chapman, and then bring the flame-throwing lefty back in pinstripes that offseason, bringing out a fat check of $86 million to keep Chapman in New York for 5 years, being the richest contract to a relief pitcher in baseball history at the time. Notice a trend here? Aroldis Chapman became the richest reliever, while Cole became the richest starter 3 years later, and now the two were teammates. 2020 was a weird year, of course, with Chapman not making his first appearance until a few weeks after opening day, and being limited to just over 11 innings in the shortened regular season. As for Cole, despite being limited to 12 starts because of the pandemic, he still showed why he was worth his contract, throwing 73 innings, striking out 94 hitters, and pitching his way to a 2.84 ERA, finishing 4th in the AL Cy Young voting. And then came 2021, and Cole, along with Chapman, was lights out. In his first 14 starts of the 2021 season, Garrett Cole threw 89 and 2/3 innings with a 2.31 ERA, striking out 117 hitters. He was simply elite, and exactly what the Yankees paid for. As for Chapman over in the bullpen, it was the same story. In Aroldis Chapman's first 29 appearances of the 2021 season, he threw 27 and a third innings with a 1.98 ERA while striking out 47 hitters. Had he been more dominant than this in the past? Sure, but this was pretty much vintage Aroldis Chapman coming out of the bullpen to close out games for the New York Yankees. And then Garrett Cole's dirty little secret came out. What we didn't fully know back in 2019 was that Cole's success in his first 2 years in Houston was in large part due to cheating. Was he naturally talented at pitching? Absolutely. But there's no question that the cheating he discovered with the Astros helped him work wonders with his pitches. But it wasn't just Cole. The sticky substance epidemic was big across baseball, with guys throughout the league using substances like spider tack to help spin the baseball better, resulting in more swings and misses, and of course more strikeouts. The league eventually figured that they needed to put an end to this once and for all, and so they did, having umpires do random mandatory checks on pitchers throughout games to make sure there's no banned foreign sticky substance on them. If something suspicious was indeed found, that pitcher would be ejected and likely suspended. Because of this, pitchers across the league of course had to stop with the sticky stuff like spider tack, and it affected a lot of the guys, no doubt. Red Sox starting pitcher at the time, Garrett Richards, was a good example of a guy who had a really good successful stretch at one point early in the 2021 season before the ban, only to have to stop using foreign substances to better spin the ball, leading to him getting crushed out on the mound, with him even admitting that without any sort of substance to help him grip the baseball, he basically had to go back to the drawing board. You then have the now famous Garrett Cole interview where he seemed like he was about to cry talking about how hard it was to grip a baseball without any substance to help him.
I I just can't. It's hard. I mean, it's so hard to grip the ball. I just, I mean, for Pete's sake, Please just talk to us. Please just work with us. I know you have the hammer here.
Now, there are a good amount of pitchers who the sticky substance ban affected in a big way, like Garrett Richards. But you then have guys like Max Scherzer, someone who was named alongside Gerrit Cole, Justin Verlander, Corey Kluber, among others, for being given foreign substances by ex-Angels clubhouse attendant Brian Harkins. Scherzer was incredible before the substance ban, and hasn't skipped a beat since the substance ban was implemented by the league, going on to be just as dominant with the Nationals, Dodgers, and now Mets since. As for the rich Yankees, Cole and Chapman, it's been a much different story. Aroldis Chapman, like I said, was dominant to start out 2021. The foreign substance ban for pitchers started on June 21st, 2021. From April 5th to June 20th, Chapman was great, like I said, pitching to a sub-2 ERA and punching out 47 hitters. From June 23rd, 2021 through the end of the 2022 season, Aroldis Chapman has thrown 66 1/3 innings with a 4.49 ERA. He's been so bad to the point where there was even talk of the Yankees designating him for assignment this season. He went from the most dominant reliever in baseball in the first 2.5 months of the 2021 season, wasn't allowed to use any foreign substance anymore, and has been a liability for the Yankees on the mound since. From April 1st, 2021 through June 16th, 2021, Gerrit Cole was fantastic. From June 22nd, 2021, the day after the substance check started, through the end of the season, Cole made 16 starts through 91 2/3 innings, all with an ERA of 4.12. From June 22nd, 2021, all the way through the end of the 2022 regular season, Cole has pitched to a 3.70 ERA and 292 1/3 innings pitched. That is a huge sample size. Now let's take a look at Cole's 2022 season alone. In 2022, Gerrit Cole made 33 starts, the most in baseball, through over 200 innings, the most in the American League, and struck out 257 hitters, the most in baseball. All really impressive stuff by Cole, no doubt. Because the point I'm trying to make here isn't to say that Gerrit Cole sucks now, because that would be a blatant lie. He's still a good and valuable pitcher to have on your team. With that said, does Cole deserve the $36 million he made this year and about the $55 million he's made dating back to late June of 2021? No, he's not. What Cole also did in 2022 was give up the most home runs in the American League at 33. Now, it's not like that's the end-all be-all, as Cole did allow 29 homers in his Cy Young caliber 2019 campaign, but there's also something else here. Gerrit Cole's 2022 ERA was 3.50. His fielding independent pitching, which takes out the luck factor and is a more accurate representation of what your ERA should be, is almost identical to his ERA at 3.46. So he hasn't gotten lucky nor unlucky in 2022. His ERA is accurate to how he's pitched over the 200 2/3 innings he's thrown. Well, a 3.5 ERA is actually quite good, and any team would love to have a pitcher like Cole on their roster. An innings eater and a strikeout machine. But would any team pay north of $35 million annually for him? The answer is a resounding no. Cole's numbers in 2022 are great for a number 2 or 3 starting pitcher, but not great for an ace, and certainly not great for an ace making $36 million a year. The Chapman experience writes itself. He's been god-awful ever since the sticky substance ban. As for Cole, he's still been a good pitcher, but it's pretty clear what's going on, or at least something we can all make a good hypothesis on. Before Major League Baseball took foreign substances used by pitchers more seriously, Gerrit Cole was the best pitcher in baseball. After Major League Baseball decided to take foreign substances used by pitchers more seriously, Gerrit Cole has not been the same. Can he ever get back to his vintage form? Lord knows, but the stats say that his regression is nothing to take lightly. 292 1/3 innings is a pretty damn good sample size to understand that although he's still a good pitcher, Gerrit Cole is not the pitcher he used to be, and he's certainly not worth the money he made in 2022.